Hi! In today's tutorial, you are going to learn how to create this paint pour wine bottle with an all-white dot mandala design on it. So this is just an old wine bottle, and what you want to do is take off all the labeling. And for those hard to get off labels, I use a product called Goo Gone. And if you just let it soak on the label, it'll eventually peel right off. And then you do want to wash your bottle with some soap and water again, just to get off all the oils. Also, wipe down your bottle before starting with some rubbing alcohol, and that just ensures proper paint adhesion. So the paint I'm going to be using in today's tutorial is called DecoArt Americana Gloss Enamel Paint. And this is an acrylic paint that is able to be baked onto the bottle, so it becomes permanent with the glass. That way you can wash it and the design doesn't come off. Also in today's tutorial, I'm going to be using a 12-piece acrylic rod set and a 5-piece nail stylus set that you can find at the.artdepot.com. So we're just going to be starting off painting the bottle. Now I'm just pouring on some paint, and it is a little bit of a thicker paint, which I love. It's perfect for dotting, but it was kind of hard to get it to roll down the bottle. I just let gravity do its thing. The colors are True Blue, Lavender, Desert Turquoise, and Vivid Violet. And then I went all the way up the neck, with the same pattern. But you can do this however you want, and you can use any colors that you would like. These are just the ones that I picked for today's project. And then I was like, well, it's not going all the way around. So I really wanted it to wrap the whole bottle. So I decided to just go ahead and fill in all the spaces that I could and just continue to let gravity pull it. And then I spun it around to the back and I just kind of rubbed it around because that's where it was laying anyway, so it wasn't going to look the same anyhow. And then if you notice, it's starting to sag, and that just really makes a cool effect. So I stood it up because I really wanted that to start happening, and you can see there, that's like day 1 of it drying. I couldn't touch it for like 2 days, and then 2 days in, I was able to handle it. So then you just have to decide where you want the design. I found that the front side was a lot smoother, and that's why I put the design right there. But the back side, it's a little bit bumpy, but I do think it would take the design just as well. And it is really pretty, even though it's different than the front. Now I'm going to make this an all-white design today, but you can do it however you would like and use whatever colors you would like. You're just going to start in the center and you work your way out. Starting off with the yellow tool. Now this is the second to the largest tool in my 12-piece tool set that you'll find in the Art Depot. And you don't want the paint to go all the way up your tool, but you do want the end to be completely coated, and that will just make for a nice crisp round dot. You do want to also have a damp cloth to clean your tools as you go. Of the 5-piece nail stylus dotting tool set, you're going to use the largest tool for your first ring of dots around your center dot. So I call this a size 5. It's just the largest one that I have. And what you want to do is you want to make a crisscross around the center dot. So top, bottom, left, and right. And you're going to place a dot right in between each of those. And then you're going to place a dot right in between each of those all the way around. And you do want to dip your tool each time that you need to make a dot. Now the next tool you want to use would be your very smallest nail stylus, and I'm just placing a very small dot in between the base of each of those larger dots there. And you can skip that step if you want to. The next tool I'm going to be using is the white tool, and we're just going to offset each of the previous row of dots, and just going to place a dot right in between each of those. So this makes a total of 16 dots in each ring around the center dot. Now basically what we're going to be doing is kind of repeating this process while the tools will be, ascending in size. So the dots are just going to keep getting bigger and bigger, and then you can add however much or however little detail that you want to each row or ring. So the next tool is the pink tool, and that's just a little bit bigger than the white tool. My method here was just making a crisscross and then filling in the dots. There are other ways you can do this. You could just place a dot, in between right offset of the previous row all the way around. You could skip every other dot. You can do that as well, and that just kind of helps with placement. But I just usually do this. It just seems to work best for placement for me. Now again, I'm doing more detail here, so I'm filling in some of the spaces in between each of the dots. And I'm just using my smallest nail stylus again, bringing that back out. By using the nail stylus dotting tools, the dots will descend in size without you, doing any kind of pressure adjustment. You just have to dot and they will get smaller. So I just start on the outer edge and then kind of work my way in towards the center, filling in all that space. The next tool up is going to be the silver tool. And I just want to remind you that this is your project and there simply is no wrong in creating art. It's an individual process and journey. We all have our reasons for turning to art. I am using my largest nail stylus to fill in some of the spacing between that last ring of dots there. So just right in between each of the dots in that last ring, I place 2 dots right next to each other. My biggest reason for turning to art is that it's a way for me to de-stress after a long day. Creating or painting, or dot painting in particular, it's honestly therapeutic for me. I am totally confident that you will find it just as soothing and beneficial. You gotta give it a try. If you haven't yet and you're watching this, I am telling you, you need to give it a try. The next tool that we're going to use is the gold tool, so it's just getting bigger here. And I did want to show you here, I'm just going to place the dots right next to each other. And also, if you find that the dot has like a wrinkly center, you can always double dip and double dot that same dot, and it'll just give it that little paint belly that you want. Using my number 2 nail stylus, what you want to do here is you're making kind of like a little bridge around these larger dots on the outer ring here. So what you want to do is you want to dip your nail stylus in the paint. You make your first initial dot on the center of the outer edge, and then you're going to dot all the way down to the base of one side, re-dip your tool into paint, redot that first initial dot, and then dot all the way down to the base of the other side. And it makes like a little petal around each of those dots. And you can continue to make those petals bigger if you want. In several of my previous tutorials, for example, the lace daisy wine glass, I show you how to expand on those petals, and the results are stunning. It makes like a flower with big, beautiful petals. I'll add a link for that video to the top of your screen. And be sure to check out my channel for over 100 completely free, step-by-step beginners dot painting tutorials. And for those interested, I do also have a beginner's dot painting book. Signed copies are available in my e-commerce store, the dotartdepot.com. I will put a link for my store in this video's description below, as well as pin it to the comments. Alright, that is where I stopped with this design. There was just something about the simplicity of it that made me decide that it was finished, so I left it. Now, per this particular paint's instructions, you do want to bake your project in the oven. First, you allow it to cure as is for 4 days. Then you're going to place it in a cool oven, set your temperature to 325 degrees Fahrenheit, and bake it for 30 minutes. Then you're going to cool it down with the oven door partially open. Doing so will adhere your paint to the bottle, but please be sure to check your particular paint brand's curing and baking instructions, as they may vary. If you found this tutorial helpful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I would absolutely love to have you as a subscriber. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.